This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we're talking with Eric Godet, director at Gainesville Chamber of Commerce. Good afternoon, Eric Godet, director. How are you?
I am wonderful, Queen Lizzie. It is an honor to be here.
It's an honor for you to be here.
Yes.
I am so glad you're here, and today we are going to talk about everything and anything we need or want to talk about.
Perfect. I'm excited about it.
Okay. Okay. Would you like to start? Tell us your position. We know that you're the director, but what and how and where?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So the Greater Gainesville Chamber of Commerce has been here in the Greater Gainesville area, so we represent all of Alachua County. Since 1924, we're celebrating our centennial celebration this year. So 100 years of business in the Greater Gainesville area. Our Chamber of Commerce is just excited that we get to represent our community. That is, the Greater Gainesville area. And so for us, being able to celebrate with our community and look at businesses then and look at businesses today, where we've come from, how we've grown, our makeup, how different we are, how dynamic we are as a community, the incredible growth that's happening in our region. We're just very excited.
And I'm so proud to know you and know that you have been very instrumental in doing this. How long have you been working or the director at the chamber?
At the chamber? So I was hired in August of 2018 as the president and CEO of the Greater Gainesville Chamber of Commerce. And our previous president was leaving to go back home, back to Texas. And so I started in August and really as an interim and became permanent in December of 2018.
Okay, and you have been rocking and rolling this.
It has been nonstop, yeah.
It has, and I'm just honored to know you, and very, as I said earlier, just honored to have you on my show.
Well, it is mutual. I feel I've made it now. I'm on the Queen show.
Yes, you are.
I got Queen Lizzie.
Okay, my king. And where are you from? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the Bahamas. Grew up in Nassau. My wife and I, both of our families are from there. We grew up probably about a mile away from each other. We met each other as teenagers. For years, I didn't even know she existed. I knew her brothers. She's got like 3 brothers. Okay. So there are 3 boys and 3 girls. And I knew her brothers. Her eldest brother, Robert, is probably like the top scout on the island back then. Okay. And even now, and that's where I met him when we'd be on those different scouting trips and hangouts. And so we met. We were probably like 17, I think 16, 17, something like that. And yeah, it's been a gift. She's my gift.
Okay, she's your gift, your best friend.
That's right, best friend, everything.
All right. And we were talking earlier about farming in the Bahamas and farming here in Archer in the event they had this past weekend. I was in and out, but I didn't get the full scope of it because there were other things on my plate to do. But I grew up on a farm. Yeah. And my parents always said, and my grandparents, they had a farm too, don't sell your property because they're not making any more.
That is correct.
We still own our family property.
That is
out there in Archer. And farming really was, for me, it was hard work, but it was character building.
It is.
Do you agree?
Totally. I think it shapes us. I think there are a lot of things about farming that help shape me
Yes.
and move my direction. Coming and having a family farm and growing up and working on it as a kid, I shared with you before, that I love school.
Yes.
And hey, because I knew when I wasn't in school, I'd have to be at that farm. I was just like, hey, and I know hard work. And I shared with you, we all in the family had our roles and different animals and different things we had to do, and I was responsible for the hogs. Slopping the hogs, cleaning up behind them. I shared with you, I've been thrown in the air, stepped on, bitten by hogs, and it helped me realize early what I was not going to be. I didn't know what I was going to be, but I knew what I was not going to be.
A farmer.
A farmer. And but I didn't understand what a blessing that
Yes.
family farm is
Yes.
at the time. And
Yes. It shaped us.
it did. And for me, it's one of those things. I still get up early.
I do too.
And I can't shake that or change that. That's just who I am. And I love to get up early. And I love to
Yes.
have, if I'm scheduling a meeting, I'm scheduling it early. If I am. Now, if it's somebody else scheduled, I'm meeting whenever they set it up. But that's my most productive time.
Yes, exactly. I know our hour every morning, 4 o'clock. Dad would get up, make a fire in the stove for my mom to prepare breakfast. Get up, get up, get up. People all over the world are up.
That's right.
This time of morning, I hated it. It was cold, and our house was not the warmest back then. I was like during the Jim Crow era, back in the 40s.
Yeah.
Yes, we had to fireplace, and a fireplace did not heat the house. Okay, and I wanted to get grown and get out of there and go to college so that I could make what I am today, I guess, a better living so that I could reach back and help my parents.
Right.
That was an issue for me. I wanted to help them, and I did. The first thing I did before I married, I made sure I made them comfortable.
Got it.
And I appreciate that. But that farming, oh my God, did not like it.
Well, we're fortunate. And where I go to farming is really when we started talking at our centennial celebration, we were sharing 100 years ago, when you looked at this area, we were really known for our farming.
Exactly.
People would bring all their goods from all around the county, and they'd even take it to depot and get it
Yes.
shipped out to all over the place.
Exactly.
And I shared with you, I met a gentleman about 30 years ago when I first got here who owned, had his own tiling business and that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
yes,
And
yes.
he was telling me
Yes.
about these farms
Yes.
and all the black farms and all the stuff that was there and the families that had it. And his was still in his family, but he was concerned.
Yes.
That
But it's still there.
he
He
would-
doesn't
yeah.
have to be.
And I didn't know that was your cousin.
Yes. And his children still own and glorify that property.
That is amazing. That's the important things that we don't want to forget.
Exactly.
Because especially when we look in the areas in the western side of our county right now, there's so much development on those areas, that were farms.
This was a farm. Black people own this property here at Celebration
Right at
Point.
Celebration Point. I'm not surprised.
Butler Plaza, the ponds over there, you can still smell the water and the fish.
Right.
Okay, there a lot
Yeah.
of fishing was over there. They have, more or less stopped us from fishing. But you can actually, I knew people that lived over, especially Butler Plaza.
Okay.
All of that was black people. Black people used to own this property.
I believe it.
Uh-huh.
I believe it. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
I love the history. And as we dug into our history as a community, we saw not only that. So when we looked at 100 years ago,
Yes.
our top crops were hogs, selling
Exactly.
horses, cows. We had all the
Goats.
vegetables, goats, all those things were the produce. I think, and there were even, was it turpentine or something
Yes.
coming out this area? But
Yes,
yeah.
turpentine and sugar cane.
Right,
Sugar
coming out of this
cane.
area. So, I mean, it's important for us to look back.
Back.
And when we see ourselves economically now, we got all these beautiful facilities,
Yes,
these
yes.
beautiful town centers,
Yes,
and I mean, I looked at this weekend. I mean, we were here Saturday after the game. Oh my goodness. An incredible jazz concert
Okay.
from a local young man that was there singing. It was just amazing. The place was packed.
Yes.
Every restaurant, every business. It was just incredible to see people pouring out of the theater.
Yes.
And so it's one of those things, but we came from an agrarian background. Agriculture was our staple.
Yes, exactly.
And, I think we don't want to forget that.
We don't, and I like this place out here, Celebration Point. Did you all hear me? I love it because when you sit around and watch the people that come from different backgrounds, and we all get together and we have a wonderful time. It is awesome just to come out here and watch people.
Just hang out. It was so much fun.
Yes, it is. Yes,
It was a joy to see everyone interacting and
Yes.
engaging. And, one of the things that I want to share with people, we were just talking about that the Cotton Club this weekend had a
Yes.
celebration of the black cowboys and the history of cowboys in our community and the whole agriculture around cattle and everything.
Yes.
And the farmers and stuff with that. And we were sharing, I know I missed it. And
I went.
You went,
I
and I'm
was
glad
there.
you were there because I hope they recorded it because I really wanted to learn more about that.
I'm more than sure they recorded it. I did see it on the news. Okay, and I grew up with horses. My dad was a excellent rider.
Okay.
And he didn't teach his sons how to ride a horse. And I remember the first time my dad put me on a horse. Okay, you are not going to make a cowboy out of me. I said to myself, I was a little girl, and I was afraid of the horse. My dad had to put me on the horse backward because I couldn't stand to watch his eyes. He would roll those eyes,
And look at
me,
you.
and look at me. I couldn't stand that. So Dad put me on and turned my back to the horse's head. I remember that. I never learned to ride a horse.
Well, I can
did
tell
not
you,
care.
I can ride. I'll get a little farm board. Like, hey, we
Really?
can ride some horses.
Oh, really?
Bareback, saddle, it didn't matter. Oh, yeah, that was part of the farm. You had to work and learn to ride. And so for me, you never forget how to ride once you, I got pictures. I don't know, I may be like 5 or something, right?
Okay.
That was just all part of it on the island. That's kind of like, hey, that's right. We're gonna get 'em. I think my sister has all that, but we'll definitely get them. But that's really the beauty of that. And many of the kids today don't get that exposure
Exactly.
because they don't get the exposure to,
Yes.
that whole agricultural background.
Exactly. And like I said, I went. I enjoyed it. It was nice. It was just enlivening. It was all over history, all over reliving my farm life all over again. I really enjoyed it. And then yesterday, I had the opportunity to go and mix with people that are running for election candidates. I
Yeah.
met them. I am big on voting. That is so important to me. My mom said, you must vote. People died,
That's right.
okay, for the right or just wanting to vote. You must vote. And I preach voting all the time. And every opportunity I get, I am going to vote. And I have been voting. I like to tell people for 59 years, November 5th, when the election, 2024, this year, I would have voted 60 times, never missed, even
Wow.
if there was one candidate.
There we go.
And my mom taught her grands, and now they are her great grands, and all of them vote. And they call me, Auntie, it's time to vote. Tell me who to vote for. I said,
Sure.
I'm not going to tell you. You need to read. And they said, oh, okay.
Do your research. Yeah.
Do your research. And they called me right back.
That's
Auntie,
excellent.
Tell me who to vote for.
There you go. That's okay. The key is they understand the importance of voting.
They understand.
It's we are very fortunate in this country, and we say it's a right to vote, but I really believe it's a privilege.
It's a privilege.
And if you take that global outlook, everyone historically has never had that privilege.
Exactly.
And even though legally they may have given you the rights, there were roadblocks and stumbling blocks and different requirements and reading, different things that blocked individuals. So it's a privilege that we need to cherish and make sure that we go out there and use that gift that we've been given to cast our vote because, like you said, people have died to give us this right.
Exactly.
People have, sacrificed so much so that we can have the opportunities that we have today. We're an incredible society. We have so much today, but it's all built upon the backs of those who came before us that
Right.
really fought to make sure that we're the nation we are today and we have these rights and privileges. And we cannot just take it for granted just because we didn't have to pay the price. We honor them by stepping up and utilizing the privileges that they paid the price for us to have today. That's why history is so
Absolutely.
important. That's why I love what you do with Rosewood and make sure we don't forget. I mean, for me, I love it that even our boys that are here, they know, they can show you where Rosewood is.
Yes.
Anytime we go to see the key, they know exactly, they can point and let you know, hey, that's where Rosewood was, but they
Exactly.
only know it because we tell them.
Exactly.
We are a people that come from a history of an oral history
Yes.
and telling. And all the way from Africa, if we've forgotten, that's how we pass on
Yes.
information. I learned so much from my grandparents.
Yes.
When my parents were busy working and doing stuff and telling stories about our family and the history, we cannot forget who we are. And we have to keep that oral history alive and share the stories. And that's something I applaud you, Queen Lizzie, for making sure our community has never forgotten and that stories out there and we get to celebrate that period and that community that existed.
Yes.
And someday it's going to be in a physical form that we can all see and remember. But today we keep it fresh in our minds and our
We
hearts.
do. We do. It's a lot of work. It's 24/7 for me. But I'm doing this because my mom's sister was a Rosewood school teacher. My mother said, you must keep that Rosewood history alive. You must preserve it. You must share it. Never attack anybody, but share it, keep it truthful,
Right.
and tell it. And that's
Right.
what I do. That's what I do.
Well, you know those quotes about people, if you don't, remember, you're bound to repeat.
All right.
We don't want to repeat.
We do not want to repeat. We do not want to repeat. So that's why I work hard to keep it active and with people like you, your interest, that motivates me. Okay, somebody is listening. Somebody wants to help.
Right.
And I appreciate that. And I have more people out there helping than not helping. Okay, even if they don't agree with me, they respect what I'm doing. And that's all.
Exactly.
That's all.
Information is so important.
It is.
And that's why we need to share
Okay.
that knowledge.
That's right. Okay, that's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida
and
and
America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Eric Godet, Director of GGCC. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Special thanks to Greg Bradley, Allstate Insurance. We are back, and we are going to continue our conversation about Rosewood. But what I want to say right now about Rosewood, if you all would like to become a member, you can find us at rosewoodflorida.com, and I am selling a couple of books. If you want to purchase a book, you may do so. The Real Rosewood, I am so sorry, the Real Rosewood Foundation book is coming up, but this is the name of my podcast. My books are Alachua County, Florida, and it's about the history of Gainesville, which is very important also. Okay, and the other book is Lizzie's Rosewood Journey. Okay, as I said, you can find them on my website, And you can donate to the website. We have a museum that we're in the process of building, and it's going to be built in Archer on 29 acres. Remember earlier I said my parents and grandparents said, don't sell your property because we're not making any more. We kept that property, and we are going to, the foundation, the Real Rosewood Foundation, will build, reconstruct, resurrect a museum on those 29 acres. As I speak, we are working with maps, we're doing surveys, and we're getting the basic work done. The due date for the museum, we have not decided. However, we're looking at 2025, 2026, and 2025 is next year. Okay, so we are looking to those dates, and yes, we are going to be doing fundraising to make sure this happen. My mom was my historian, oral, as you just talked about, oral historian. Her sister was the school teacher. My mother was 20 when Rosewood happened, still living at home with her parents, and her sister was the teacher in Rosewood. However, she is from Archer, so we're bringing the museum back to Archer. The name of it, we're naming it after her, Mahalda Gussie Brown Carrier Cultural Museum. And Eric just brought me some magazines today that we're going to be more than happy to put in there, especially this one, because we are currently celebrating the anniversary, centennial. It's 101 year now, but this 100 years, Eric?
100 years. That's
100
right.
years, and we are going to make sure we have a place for this book. I can't see it, but you all can see it.
Oh, it's there. Mhm.
Okay.
It's there. You were
at
good. Mhm.
at the at our museum, and other significant donations will be housed there. So we are excited about what is going to take place in in Archer, representing Rosewood. Okay, so just stay tuned and help, and be ready when we call on you. And I didn't tell you, I was about to tell you that my mom wrote a song, 13 verses. It tells the entire story of Rosewood. And we are going to make a digital file of that song, and we're going to sell it. The cost will be $2.99. However, you can return to your digital file and listen to it over and over and over. But that's one way of making money, and we're going to need you to help us get the message out. Okay, that's Rosewood. Okay.
So we could purchase the Rosewood digital song.
Yes.
And have it on our phones and listen
Yes.
to it as many times as we like.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yes, I
That is
love
awesome.
it too. Yes, and hopefully it will be a hit. Okay,
I'm
international.
sure it is. There we go. Hey, it's the Queen's production.
Yes. yes. And what else? Okay. Oh, and again, voting. We got to save our democracy, y'all. It is so important.
It is. Voting is such a privilege.
It
and,
is.
one of the things when I got here, one of the first things I heard about was Senator, is it Josiah Walls?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And
Yes.
what he did, it's amazing. I think it's so important that we recognize the price people paid to help lead us and give us the right to vote and be out there out front and be an example. I mean, to me, it's one of those things where history is so important.
Yes.
I learned about Garrett Morgan from my parents.
Yes.
They told me about Elijah McCoy and the real
Yes.
McCoy. And I'm sure they did this to let us know that we can become or do anything we put our mind to. One of my favorites is really Charles Drew, who
Yes.
identified the different blood type and that kind of
yes.
stuff. And I couldn't believe it. My dad told me that he was a victim folks were, and he was in a car accident and needed a blood transfusion. They refused to give it because they were basing it on race versus the blood type.
Exactly.
And so these are the kind of things and stories that people need to know and hear, not forgotten, to help you understand who you are as an individual, where you come from as a people. I mean, to me, the businesswoman of all, that I love from a manufacturer was Madam C.J. Walker.
Yes.
Because I just she's making all those products for the hair, and people were buying them up from all over the place.
Exactly.
I mean, and so,
Exactly.
but these are wonderful stories to help us understand
Who
and
we
shows
are.
the value of history of who we are. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And Josiah T. Walls, and people don't know this, taught school in Archer.
Okay.
If you Google his name.
Local school teacher.
Archer, and my grandfather and great grandfather worked on his campaign.
Are you serious?
With him.
Okay.
My grandfather, I have his voter's registration.
Mm-hmm.
He voted, he was able to vote in, I'm thinking 1890. I have so
Okay.
many dates, but I'm thinking 1890. I
Okay.
had, and his father, Wesley Brown, who is the grandfather of the school teacher, Rosewood school teacher, worked together with Josiah T. Walls. And
Yeah.
when that building was named after him, I'm going to, when that building was named after him, our governor, Congressman Ted Yoho, okay, they asked him
Yeah.
to be one of the speakers.
Okay. Yeah.
And he didn't know anything about Josiah T. Walls being
Okay.
the first black congressman. I'm thinking I have it
Yeah.
right.
And senator, I
And-
think, too.
and-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And he had to look it up, and
Yeah.
he was devastated. Not devastated. He was so disappointed. He did not know
Right.
Josiah
They weren't
T.
aware.
Walls.
Yeah.
Didn't know he was black.
Yeah.
And he was upset with his teachers because they did not teach him that history. And when I talk about it, people, well, you're talking about Ted Yoho. Sure. History is not political. Anyway, it should not be.
It shouldn't.
History is who we are.
Right.
Without history, we are nothing.
Well, this is where I share that, where parents step in. Because, see,
Yes.
mine taught me history.
Yes.
They weren't dependent on anyone in the school system or outside the school system. They looked at it as their job.
Exactly.
And I think that's probably where we need to get back to as a nation. Parents and the role that they have in the education of their children. We have, and I said we in general, talking about us as Americans, I think have abdicated our role generally for instruction of our
Yes.
children over to a system.
Exactly.
And we're frustrated.
It's not the system job.
It's not their job.
That's right.
My parents always told me it was their job.
Exactly.
And they made sure. Now, hey, if I liked school, that was on me, and they're glad, but they were making sure that I knew what I needed to know, and they were going to teach, and it was their responsibility,
True.
is what they shared with me, and I think we've lost a lot of that.
We have, and as we talked earlier, our parents were not the educated, degreed people, but they had common sense, mother's wit, okay, and they did what they needed to do, and as a result of our Ted Yoho doing that research, making that report, and I have always worked for my sorority, the chairperson of justice, and I would travel to Washington, D.C., and every time I went to Washington, D.C., I found his office, and I talked to him.
Good.
And I told him about Rosewood, okay, and he developed a positive attitude
Right.
for history
Yeah.
because he knew he was not taught the history.
Right.
So one day I was sitting in my living room, the phone rang, and he said, "Miss Lizzie." I said, "Yes." He said, "Hello, this is Ted Yoho." I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "Fine." He said, "Are you doing your TV?" I said, "No." He said, "Turn it on." He said, "I'm going on at 7:30, and I'm going to..." No, he didn't tell me what he was going to do. He said, "I'll be on at 7:30. Just go to that station, find, what was it, C-SPAN,
Yeah.
and wait for me." And sure enough, I turned it on. I located C-SPAN. Ted Yoho came on and said, "Good afternoon, madam," whomever was in charge of what he was about to
speaker.
present, the speaker. That's what he said. Thank you.
I'm here to help.
And good afternoon, Madam Speaker. Those are his words. He talked 4 minutes and a half about Rosewood and Miss Lizzie.
That's awesome.
And he said, Miss Lizzie said that she's going to build a museum in Archer.
I love
and
it.
if Miss Lizzie said
It's
she
gonna
is
happen.
going to build a museum in Archer. And we're working on it. It's going to happen. But that's life. And like I said, Rosewood is who I am. It's 24/7. I talk about it. I talk to kids. I educate them to the best of my ability. I never say no.
Right.
Okay. Even if one person called me, I never
Sure.
say no. I talk to them, and they are always happy to hear the story about Rosewood. And it's my life.
There we go.
It's my life. Do I have a life other than Rosewood? I do, but Rosewood is number one because my mom said, "Tell it, baby, tell it."
I think, you know, we get to live this incredible life, but we have a passion and a
Yes.
message that we're sent to bring.
Yes.
And the message that I get from you is always, you know, don't forget.
Yes.
And Rosewood is that message. It's consistent, it's clear, and it helps us remember other things that are so important that are tied to history,
Yes.
you know.
But I often said, "Why me?" And when my mom told me she wanted me to do it, I said, "Mom, Dot, my oldest sister, is older." I said, "Why?" Dot, my sister, didn't want to hear anything about Rosewood. So, like you said, it's who I am.
Right.
I was gifted or born to tell this story. It's my job. I was angry with my mom. I said, "Mom, it's just too much. I can't do it." She said, "Baby, if Mama was younger, Mama would do it." I wanted to say to Mama, "Do it." But you know, you didn't say what you were thinking back then. So I continue. And like I say, with people like you and other interesting people, you all just don't know how much that means to me. If you don't, I'm telling you, it means everything. Keep up the good work. Keep supporting me. And I know you will do that. Is it anything else you can think of that we...
For me, it's just an honor and a privilege, and I just want to thank you and encourage you. And we got a lot more work to do, and we got to get you some more help,
Yes.
so that this message can live forever.
Exactly. And that's what I need, more help. And I appreciate it so very, very much. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie until next time. And this is my story, and I'm sticking to it.